Hey everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to this live or the replay. And please let me know who you are, where you're watching me from in the comments. If you're watching this later and in the chat for anyone who will be joining me live today. It's been an incredible week, and I'm going to be sharing more on that. First of all, my name is Eva. I'm an intuitive healer. I work with two modalities, one which is based on working with the Akashic records, and it's called soul realignment, and the second one is called quantum flow, which is based on rewiring your nervous system. And I'm going to be sharing more about these two modalities at the end of this session or at the end of this video. So make sure you tune in until the end to actually get to understand how these two modalities can make a significant shift in how you're living your life right now and really tap into awakening your full potential. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing more on that at the end of this live set. I love starting my sessions by sharing my lesson for this week. And if you're watching me, I love to know how you have grown and evolved in this last week, in this day, in the last month, regardless of when you're tuning in. Which lesson have you actually embodied within yourself that has helped you grow in a positive trajectory, right? That has helped change an aspect of your existence, okay? So my lesson for this week was actually a reminder. This is not a new lesson. It's something that I've had in my mind, but this week I was really reflecting on it based on whatever's happening this last week. So, this week, one of the biggest names in Hollywood just got arrested for so many reasons. I'm not going to be diving into that because if you're watching me, I know you know who I'm talking about. I'm going to be sharing his name, but that entire thing, everything that has happened in this week just reminded me of this lesson. And the lesson is that a blessing that is not shared ends up becoming a curse. And this really, really has been going on in my mind, right? And I had this a while back from one of the speakers or teachers that I normally tap into. His name is Jason Shucker, brilliant guy. And it really stuck with me in the sense that anytime you receive a blessing, because everything that you actually manifest in your life, regardless of whether you believe in a higher being or whatever it is, it's always a blessing. And the minute you go about it in the sense that, ooh, I'm going to be sharing about money. I'm going to be using money as an analogy for this entire presentation or live, that assuming someone gives you $10 million, the minute you go about it in the sense of, ooh, I'm gonna hide that I actually have this money. I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'm just gonna keep it to myself. I'm not gonna share with anyone how I went about getting this amount of money. I'm just gonna keep everything to me, no sharing, no nothing, and all of that. That eventually ends up becoming a curse. And again, I'm gonna be diving deep into. And the reason why is that you're going to be so stuck in the element or the energetic quality of fear because you'll always be fearful that if someone finds out, someone must come and take it. If someone finds out, then it might mean that I'll end up having less than I actually have right now. So I'm always going to keep everything guarded to myself and always scared. Who's going to find out? Let me not buy myself this because if I do this, then the people around me are going to know I have money. So, let me keep it to myself because I don't want to share with them. I don't want them coming to me and what is it called? And borrowing money, that kind of mentality. And you keep on operating from that. Guess what? Remember, the universe will always respond to you based on who you are. So if at all your inner being is just filled with fear about what will happen next, now that I have this, guess what? You're going to be manifesting more of those circumstances that really respond or reflect whatever you're feeling on the inside. So a blessing that's not shared ends up becoming a curse. Sharing, I'm not just meaning that you have to now go and hand over the 10 million. Sharing can be done in so many ways. It's very subjective, right? You could decide now that I have this, so how do I distribute it? One of it is giving to you back to your family, right? And buying whatever they need. The other thing could be even setting up a business that ends up actually supporting many people. You end up hiring people. You end up hiring people. It becomes such a community asset that anyone, even generations from now, just because you started a business with that, it's still helping so many people just based on that. So sharing doesn't necessarily mean that you're withdrawing and giving up their money. You still have to apply some wisdom and discernment with that because you don't want to go too crazy. Same thing that happens with lottery winners, that they go too crazy. Like, I've never had this amount of money before, so I'm going to buy the cars, the yacht, the this and this and this and this and this. So And at the end of it all, what happens? The intention behind how you actually utilize that blessing really determines the kind of outcome that you receive from it. So if you're a lottery winner, you've won a huge amount of money and you're like, oh, now I'm gonna say goodbye to, this low beings that don't have the kind of money and I'm just gonna associate with this kind of people. Remember, there's a basis behind that, and you're gonna keep on attracting more of those people, more people who don't actually love you for who you are, because your entire status will be tied on this money. You're gonna keep on attracting people who reflect that back to you, and you'll end up attracting people who just attach to you based on greed, based on what you can give them, which at the end becomes a curse. So if you look at everything that has happened with this particular person, which is now ties to what I want to talk about today, process and outcome, that sometimes the process you go about getting what it is we desire really determines what kind of outcome we get to experience from that. Okay. And what I mean by this is that if your entire outcome or your entire goal in life is I'm going to get rich, or maybe I'm going to get famous, and I don't care what I'm going to have to do to actually get that, that's your end goal. Everyone always has a goal. Everyone always has an intention, an outcome that they're desiring for themselves. For you, it might be I'm just dreaming about having a house in a certain land, or I'm dreaming about having this partner and all of that. We're always working towards something because that outcome is what drives your everyday actions. If you just wake up today and you have no idea what you're intentioning to do in that day, what exactly are you going to accomplish? Yes, you will accomplish something, but most likely you're going to end up getting results that are not in alignment or don't bring you joy in any form or way. Because your entire mindset will be, I have no end goal, so I'll just be existing for the sake of existing. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I don't do anything with my day, any constructive thing with my day, which eventually now ends up impacting. So, but if your intention is like, I need to get a partner by the end of this month, this week, I don't care, then your intentions or your process, how you go about it, is always going to have that end goal in mind. Meaning that if my intention is to have a partner by the end of the month, it might mean that maybe I have to take care of myself, right? I gotta dress right, I gotta act a certain way, maybe consume a certain amount of information that will help me get in that kind of partner that I desire. It might mean me going out and meeting new people, putting myself in new spaces to allow for that to happen, because that's my intention. But if I'm just like, oh, my outcome is I want a partner, and then you don't do anything to actually call that in, you're not going to manifest it, or it's going to take you such a long time. Or you might get a partner, but it's usually someone who you did not intention to be with. So, of course, you can just walk out in the street and say, hey, I want a husband or a wife or whatever. And you will get people, because probably you'll meet someone who matches that vibration, but will it be the person that you're intentioning to call into your life? Because everyone has their needs, everyone has their desires. So you will get a person, yes. For some people, they might even go about it. You've heard of scenarios where people, super wealthy people, end up actually getting partners that are not really compatible to that. So getting a partner as more a trophy wife or a trophy husband, right? Because you can go both ways. But yes, if that's the intention, just to have someone to look good with, no problem. If at all it brings you joy. But at the end of it all, is that something that is actually serving you? Because that's going to look different for so many people. So for some people, maybe it might serve them in the sense that, ooh, the people around me are going to be looking at me and admiring me and being jealous because I have this wife, I have this husband. No problem. If that's your intention and you feel good in the moment, no problem. But at the end of it all, guess what? If the way you went about getting it is not aligned to what actually will bring you most fulfillment, even if you have that illusion of success once you attain that thing, the you behind that will not get the sense of fulfillment or the sense of peace that you thought you would have gotten once you attain this thing. Meaning that, yes, you'll end up getting that trophy wife, probably someone you bought off, and maybe you'll put on certain measures to make sure you control this person so that they never leave you. What happens when the wealth runs out and you're not able to sustain this relationship? You end up with no partner. What happens when this person, because you can't control someone to that level, at some point they will fight back. And remember that their intentions in that relationship is probably maybe I'm going to get as much money as from you as possible. So there won't be that love behind them. They're being there. So the minute whatever they perceive that you will give them goes away, they have no reason to stay there. So they'll leave for sure. So please be keep in mind that. My suggestion will be that anytime you're coming up with a goal, the best way to go about it is make sure that you're making goals that are in alignment with your soul. And the same thing goes also for the process. You've heard of people saying that, oh, focus on the process. This is what matters. My perspective is both of them are equally important. And based on the scenario I gave you, that if your idea is that I'm just going to get money and you don't care about the process of how you're going to go about it, it's going to impact the outcome. Always. And there's always going to be a price to pay for how you go about getting whatever that outcome is. And if your idea is that I'm just going to focus on the process and not caring about the outcome, you end up going to achieve something that doesn't actually add value. So, yes, you will be busy being busy because there are people who actually do that. You will see them, they're like, oh, I wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., and I come back at night at 10 p.m. and 11, which proves that I'm working so hard. But then you look at the results they're creating, probably their health is super impacted. They have zero fulfilling relationships in their lives. So they're busy, yes, trying to create this something, but you don't know what that something is. So you're gonna create something because you're always creating at each and every moment. But is it something that's actually bringing you fulfillment? Okay, that's how I want you to look at it. So process and outcome, for me, I think they're equally important. There are people who are designed to mostly drive or manifest their life through process. And this is based on teachings that I received about my manifesting blueprint. So here's the thing. Every one of us has a specific blueprint or coding that as souls we're supposed to tap into to guide how we manifest. So it's our process of manifestation or creation or whatever that is, it's not always going to look for the same. So for some people, their coded specific coding is process. So for them, it's the process that drives them forward. So for them, it will be like, I just have an idea that I want to make this certain amount of money, but what gives them joy is the process of getting there. And that's why you'll find people saying, focus on the process, because process is how they were designed to operate in the world. There are people who the outcome is what inspires their action. So for them, it's I have a vision that I want to move to Bali, and this is how my house is going to look like. And every day they wake up, they visualize that, they connect to that reality. And just based on them connecting to that, it drives their everyday process because now they're going to be super mindful of the actions they're taking daily, the kind of thoughts they're having, the kind of people they're intending around them. Because at the end of it all, what's driving them when they go to sleep, it's that particular house in Bali. That's my end goal. So either way, both of them kind of like feed off of each other. It's only that for some people, their most fulfillment or the where they get most fulfillment is when they focus on the process, and that's completely fine. And for some people, their entire sense of fulfillment comes from that outcome. So everything that they do, even though it might go way against their comfort zone and all of that, because they have that end goal in mind, that is what drives their movement forward. But the reason why I'm saying this is that please ensure that either way, whichever it drives you forward or gives you fulfillment, let it come from your soul and not from an egoic perspective. Because all most people do is that I have an end goal. I want to be a multi-millionaire. But essentially, that is not what your soul came here to do. So anytime you go against your soul's true purpose, your soul's true path, yes, you might manifest, but there'll be a huge price to pay with that. Always, anytime you go against your soul. So yes, you might have the level of success, become a multimillionaire, but everything else is just down the drain. Your health is impacted. You're constantly in hospital, worried about something. You're too tired to do anything else. Your relationships suffer. Your peace of mind suffers. So yes, you're getting that, but it's going against what your soul came here to do. All our souls, we normally, before we incarnate here, we always have a plan of what lessons we're choosing to embody. So maybe for your particular soul, it was that I want to learn to have compassion. I want to learn forgiveness. I want to learn how to be in service to other people. So that's your major, that at the end of this life, when you're going through a life review, before you transition, if you're looking at yourself and you're thinking that, yes, I actually did learn how to love, I did learn how to forgive based on the experiences I've had, that is what will be your measuring point, right? That you actually, regardless of how you went about it, because no one controls how you're going to go about it. You can do it in so many ways, learn that lesson of forgiveness. Okay, no one controls that, but at the end of it all, did you actually achieve that? So if that was your soul's purpose, and let's say you get inspired from an egoic perspective, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. And somehow your higher self, your spirit knows that if you become a multimillionaire, it's going to drive you in a completely different way. Maybe greed will overtake you. Maybe you'll become so fearful that someone's going to take it away, that it impacts the kind of people and the kind of relationship that you might have had to have to help you embody your original lesson, which was about maybe forgiveness, which was about maybe, service. So your soul knows if you become a multimillionaire, it will impact the soul. So you'll always be getting clues in between that you're heading down the wrong path. Most people don't listen. So they'll stick to it, they'll sacrifice their everything and then get to the multi-million whatever deal or money in the bank, and then they're miserable. They're not happy. They thought their entire life was, once I get this multi-million bank account, I'm gonna be okay. Okay. So the universe says, fine, you've done all the work. Here's the millions that you wanted to manifest, and then you get there, and then you're so freaking unhappy. Your health is impacted. Everything is impacted. Nothing is working for you. Do you see what I mean? So always have a goal or an outcome inspired by your spirit's perspective. Because the minute you do that, it's in alignment. It means that also your process will be impacted, meaning that you're also not going to be making choices or taking action just for the sake of it. You'll be taking choices or taking actions that are in alignment with what works for your particular soul. Because remember, my process of getting to the millions is not always going to look like you. So the minute I go against my soul's true nature and I'm just doing everything that everyone else is doing, guess what? I'll create, but I'll create again something that will not actually be fulfilling to me, which is how most people go about it. So they sit down and like, I'm going to do anything to become famous. I'm going to do anything to have this amount of money. So how do they go about the process? Again, that's coming from an egoic perspective. And usually that's usually a fear-based intention behind it, because it's kind of like, I'm inspired to get the millions because I want people around me to look at me and, admire me and want to be me. That is what drives that. That's a very egoic perspective to look at manifesting anything. That I want to have this kind of man so that my friends around me can be jealous. So I'm going to do everything it takes to have that person or that wife so that other people are jealous. That's your whole intention. That's not in alignment with the soul. The soul bears no judgment, first of all. Okay, so anything it's going towards the negative side, if you may call it that, that's never in alignment with the soul. So if your intention behind that is to make other people jealous, to compete with other people, not actually bringing value to yourself as a soul, but just so that other people, society can admire me, that's your outcome, then even the process of getting there is gonna be um I'm trying to find the word for it, but I will say it's gonna be dirtying up. So whatever process you will undertake to get to that outcome, it's gonna look so, it might make sense to you because you'll be looking around and seeing, oh, that person made millions by lying and cheating and robbing other people and taking advantage of other people and all of that. So let me go and do that. And then you go and do that and you're like, oh yeah, I manifested the millions. No, now I can buy the cars and all of that. But at what cost? Because what usually happens with such people is, yes, they get the millions, no problem. But their peace of mind, and to me, by the way, peace of mind is something that is so underrated, but I believe determines, impacts every area of your life. If you're not okay here, it impacts everything else from my perspective. Okay. So they'll get the millions, but they end up being, they're so freaking unhappy. They might give you the illusion that they're super happy, Okay, which is what we see with a lot, some success, not all, just some. Okay, I won't not fall into that idea of wealth is wrong. I don't think that there's anything wrong with wealth if it's being used in the right way. For some people, their entire life is good. I'm gonna get the wealth so that I can show you what you're missing out. So their entire existence will be to prove to you how happy they are. Well, in actual sense, they're really not happy. So they'll spend on the cars and the women and the men and all of this and taking trips and all of it in a bid to convince you they're so happy. But in actual sense, they're not, which is with a lot of people. And now that's the person probably you're comparing yourself to. And you're thinking that how they went about it is how you're supposed to go about it. And then you get there and then discover it wasn't all rosy in the end. That yes, I did get that partner that I desired and I did everything to manifest that partner. But then they're not actually giving me what I truly desired because again, you went against that soul's alignment with your soul. And it's really that simple. So don't look at everyone else. I always say this, look at other people, not in a bid to compare. Oh, you can compare because I think how we create through life is through comparison. That if you're looking at yourself, we're like, I would like the way things are going, but that person is somehow finding a way to make it work for them. So based on comparison of where I am and where I want to be, then I can take choices, not to manifest exactly what you want, but to just have an experience of what that is. But you can use other people to inspire you on your path because maybe you might not even have an idea that it's possible for you to be a multi-millionaire based on your background because you haven't seen it around you. But you go online and you see people having that kind of life. So use that as inspiration that, oh, you mean someone with a background like mine can actually become a multi-millionaire? Yes. So now you're giving yourself the affirmation of, okay, so now I want wealth. How do I go about it? And then now you listen to that daily inspiration because you'll always get the inspired action from your spirit. The minute you connect and make that agreement with your higher self that I'm going to trust my intuition, I'm going to follow whatever it is that you guide me to do. And you start taking actions based on that. And then the most important thing, because what usually keeps people stuck is the fact that they want to control the outcome so much. Whatever action I take, it has to look this way. Okay, but that's not going in flow with the soul. Sometimes some actions you take might not make sense to you at the moment, but 5 years down the line, months down the line, it's gonna hit you. Oh, that's the reason why I had to do that. But you might not be able to see the bigger picture when you're taking the action. I always say this, that if you take action and then look around, look at the kind of results you're creating with you, because you always get an inkling whether you're heading the right way or the wrong way based on the results you create. If you take an action and you're seeing that it's actually creating more good in your life than bad, and it's always it's a difficult way to balance this because sometimes um, getting out of your comfort zone might also come with some experiences to deter you to get you to go back to your comfort zone because your ego is so scared. It's like, no, 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 no. You're doing so many things that go against how I'm used to living life. So let me manifest this, drama around you to get you to go back. So it's always a very fine line. And if you're not in tune with yourself, with your spirit, most people normally just end up giving up and don't actually continue taking the steps. But you'll always get a sense of what kind of results I'm creating because even if you're creating the drama or whatever, there's always going to be an aspect of positive results. If you take an action and all you're getting is just negative, 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 chances are you're not making choices aligned to your true soul's path, to your true purpose, to your true path, all of that. So you always look at the results. Take the action, but look at the results that you're creating. That's the best way to actually go about it. Okay. So again, have that outcome in mind. Okay. Inspired that, oh, now I'm inspired to be a multi-millionaire. So what actions do I need to take? And then I'll start taking those actions daily and just seeing what you're creating. For some people, this is a process and can take them an entire life. Because remember that the core lessons that you're here to figure out, right? If you're here to figure out how to love, how to be of service, and all of that, that process is not going to be the same for us. So maybe for you to embody that lesson, it might take an entire lifetime. For some people, it might even take them many lifetimes to figure that out because maybe they were too stubborn to do what they needed to do in that lifetime. So they're going to get it right the next time, which is okay. So don't compare yourself to other people because you don't even know what their soul's true path is and why they had to get that kind of money or that kind of success at this moment. Because maybe there was a purpose and there's a reason behind their particular soul path for them to have that level of success immediately. But for you, it might not look the same. So don't compare yourself to others. Use them as inspiration on what to do next, but don't follow their current whatever just for the sake of, oh, that person had success because they did this and this and this. Remember, the process is going to be different for all of us. And yours will only be, you'll only be able to tap into it if you're in alignment with the soul, okay? The other side I want you to look at is that sometimes some people are like, I'm going to do anything it takes to get the millions in the bank. Again, rob, steal, take advantage of people and all of that. No problem. You get the result. You end up being scared. The my pressures, I don't want people to take away from me and all of that. How most people assume is that if you look at, for example, the corrupt leaders that we have, because I've had this comment from certain people, and then you're like, karma is going to get to them. For some people, we perceive that they end up dying and they never lost their money. They stole so much, but then they end up losing their money. So does karma actually work? It's a question I've actually had before. Here's what I'd answer you. Karma doesn't always look the way you think it's going to look. Remember the intentions behind how that person went about creating that kind of wealth for themselves always determine the end result. So for you, you'll always be stuck here waiting for the universe or God to get them. And it never happens in the way that you're thinking it's going to happen because your entire focus is on, oh, now they stole money, they're going to lose money. No. But what will happen is that the energetic quality or in something, whatever intention that drives their actions to take all that money is what they're going to keep on facing in their life. So it's probably not going to go financially. It could be in different ways. What I always say is that you'll always see these people exhibiting that kind of lack in other areas. So for them, it could be lack of fulfilling relationships. They have zero kind of relationships, zero kind of love around them because they're around fake people. Or even if they have a family, it's a family that has so much discord and so much chaos in itself. So they never actually have peace. If it's not that, it usually impacts their health. So someone is gonna constantly, yes, I'm so wealthy, but my wealth is mostly going to my finances. Maybe it will never run out. But even when you don't have health, what's the point of having this money? For some people, they might give you the illusion that every area of their life is okay, no problem. But if they went about it wrong, guess what? It's always going to catch up to them. Always. There'll always be repercussions. So don't think that karma never gets back at you. Remember, one of the laws of the universe is anything you put out, you get back. So if your entire thing was, I'm going to steal, it might not happen for you in this lifetime, or you might experience a consequence of it in some way. But eventually, because that's what you've been putting out and that's what you've been creating energetically, you'll keep on attracting circumstances because it has to balance out. For some people, it could be in this lifetime. For some people, it could be in another lifetime, which is actually what happens with some of the clients that I saw. That the kind of circumstances that they're experiencing right now have nothing at all to do with choices they made in this current lifetime. They're actually attached to choices they made in a previous lifetime, 10 lifetimes, 18 lifetimes ago. And they're still experiencing the consequences of that right now. So you'll have no knowledge like, why do I have so many broken relationships in my life? Chances are it's based on choices you made 10 lifetimes ago. And you're still experiencing the consequences of now. So never get too attached to, you're going to do everything to manifest that and not think that you're not going to manifest the consequences as well. There will always be consequences to pay because that's one of the basic laws of the universe. So don't try to be like someone else or do it like them just because they give you the illusion that this is the only fast way to success. There's always going to be repercussions for that. And for you, maybe you might say, oh, if it just means I'm not going to have the best relationship with my family or the people around me, that's a worthwhile sacrifice for me to make. I don't know. Again, that's very subjective because maybe for you, the price to be paid, it's so worth it. For me, I might not look at it like it's worth it. Because at the end of it all, for me personally, my peace of mind has to be on top. If I'm not peace in my mind, if I'm not able to look at myself in the mirror and love the person that I see based on my actions, that to me won't be a fulfilling life. For most people, they don't care. They're like, who cares? At least other people are seeing me successful. I'm getting that kind of egoic stroke when I'm seeing people that admire me and want to be me. But in essence, if I'm truthful with myself, I'm actually not happy. I'm not at peace with myself. But either way, consequences will always catch up with you. Even if it takes lifetime, they will always catch up with you. So don't want to be like someone else just because you perceive them to be happy. Most of the times, people create an image of who they're really not, like something that's actually not been experienced in their life. Meaning that I could sit here and take amazing photos with my family to prove to you that I'm actually happy. And then you come to discover later on, their relationship was not as perfect as they perceived it to be. And you're busy admiring that and you don't even know what you're admiring. So be careful, right? Use them or their example as an inspiration, but don't try to do things exactly like them. It might look the same, but it's not always the same because your lessons and whatever you came here to embody as a soul, having a human experience, is never going to look the same as another person. You have a very unique way of operating and showing up in the world, showing up yourself in the world, and also a unique way of what you're here to manifest and create. So it's not always going to look like someone else from an energetic point of view, okay? So that's how I want you to look at it. And also, I've found that for some people who go about getting that level of outcome or that level of success the wrong way, even if the choice is fine, they might experience the consequences in other lifetimes. But you know how it ends up becoming a curse that even anyone else who's coming in touch or in contact with whatever it is that you manifested, it also becomes a curse for them. And I'll give an example. There's a certain story I had about a corrupt politician who spent most of his life stealing and stealing and stealing, and so many companies ended up going down and dissolving because of their actions and all of that. But you know what this person manifested? They ended up actually having a lot of wealth. You know, the kind of wealth you get that you even have no idea what to do. That you start now manufacturing drama for yourself, which is what happens with some of these people. That they have so much of this wealth, but because they didn't go about it the right way, it ends up becoming a curse in that even the way they use it, it's not in a way to benefit others or even benefit themselves. It's not inspired. It's such a meaningless life. So what this politician ended up doing is that they got so much wealth, married so many wives, I think. I think they had a lot of wives, if I'm not wrong, got kids. But that person at the later years, like the person could not even go to a restaurant and eat in peace because they're always scared that someone is going to kill them based on what they've done. Because you know you've messed so many people up, you don't know at what point these people are actually gonna get you. They ended up dying eventually, not from being unalived by someone else, but old age and really getting sick and all of that. So they did end up suffering the consequences of that eventually. But prior to that, the kind of lifestyle they lived, even without all that wealth, they were so scared they could not just go to a restaurant just for the sake of eating. They were always scared. Someone might poison me, someone might do this and all of that. And do you know what happened at the end of it all? Because what most people do is that I'm gonna take all of this, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna rob and all of that because I want to create generational wealth. But you're going about it wrong, right? So what happens? That even when your family inherits death, and I've seen this so many times, it doesn't even benefit them when you're gone. So most people assume that now I've created wealth for, my people's, like 10 generations, 5 generations down the line, and even the generation that's right after you, your own children, they won't even feel the impact of that. Because maybe even that wealth was not in alignment with what their soul came to experience. So what happens is that once they get all this wealth that you stole and lied and cheated to get, they end up wasting it. It actually ties with whatever it was that I wanted to talk about. That when success or whatever comes so easy, you haven't gone through the process of helping you embody that identity that will allow you to really experience that success, that outcome, you're probably going to end up wasting that opportunity. So if you've ever seen people who've been handed over to life to them so easily, And I want you to really be honest with them. If you genuinely look at their lives, they don't live the kind of life that you want. Yes, they'll have the parties, the all of that, but on the inside, they're not actually happy. Okay. And if they were to be left on their own, chances are they will eventually run out of that money. If someone was not actually controlling their bank and putting measures to do that. But genuinely, fulfillment is not something that they actually experience because it came so easy for them. And you might look at it like this, like if I was to give you 10 million that you did not have to work for, because for you, you don't know the price that went into actually giving you that money. Whether it's there or whether it's not, that makes no difference to you. So you'll end up wasting it, not actually doing anything worthwhile with it until it eventually runs out. But for someone who's worked, they know that they had to sleep, have sleepless nights. They know they had to sacrifice some of their relationships, some of their beingness because they had to put in the work to get to that 10 million. You really think that person is gonna waste it? Mm-mm. They're really gonna ensure that they're taking care of that money because they know the work that went into getting that money. They're gonna nurture that money. Okay, they're not gonna go waste it because they know the repercussions of wasting that money may mean that all that work that I did is gonna be meaningless. So back to the example of this corrupt person that yes, got so much wealth, never benefited the family. In fact, some of the family actually say they didn't want the money because they knew what came with that, which for me, I think was the best decision that they ever made. Because if they allowed for themselves to touch that money and utilize that money, will have probably ended up being a curse for them as well. Some people now who end up now being the beneficiary of such ill-gotten success or ill-gotten wealth, what usually happens with such people? You'll find them constantly in courtrooms fighting each other, right? So one, it will be brother versus brother, sister versus sister, sister versus brother, mother versus children. I've seen so many examples of such cases because the whole intention or whatever went behind getting this wealth at the beginning was not in alignment with the highest good of all people. So anyone who touches that, they also never know peace. And this is how I wanted you to look at it. Okay. There'll always be repercussions. So yes, you might do whatever it takes to get to that level of outcome you're looking at. But the end result, even if you won't experience it now, even the people around you will end up bearing the repercussions of that. So never do it that I'm going to do everything it takes so that I ensure that my family is taken care of. Guess what? Your path and their path is going to be totally different because every soul is here to experience life in their own way. So then you giving them that wealth might actually not be in alignment with what they came to experience for their particular soul purpose, for their particular soul lesson. It's always going to end up being a curse to them if at all it goes against that. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to share with people. So again, back to what I said earlier, that a blessing that is not shared ends up becoming a curse. And this is what usually happens. That if your entire ideology is that I'm going to get there and then I'm never going to tell anyone how I went about it and all that, I'm not going to actually, and I'm not talking about sharing just for the sake of I'm going to throw parties and, because there is a right way to share. Again, if it goes against your soul nature, it ends up not actually adding value. So yes, you're going to be throwing parties, but do people actually benefit from that in the long run? What happens with people who actually go about it the wrong way is that even generations down the line, they'll still be feeling the effects of that wealth or whatever kind of success you got. So I'll look at it different in two ways, okay? So assuming that you put in the work, you started a company, you started small and all of that, and then eventually 10 years, 20 years down the line, you've actually been able to expand that company so much. Now you started with just one tiny room, it's grown so much to actually have companies set up all over the world. Okay, based on that, just because you did the process to allow you to maintain that kind of wealth, meaning that even your children, right, they'll get to benefit from this wealth from now until the end of their existence, right? Because you went about it the right way, because now you'll be passing on the knowledge of how you went about it to your children, who in turn will also pass it on to their children's children's children. So it won't just be for you. And guess what? When you're also going about the using that outcome in the right way, it's not just you who gets impacted. Look at all those people that get to actually take or receive the blessings of that. You're gonna create so many jobs for so many people, feed so many people based on that. Because as long as you have so many businesses all over the world, anyone who works for that company, their families will be impacted, their family's family will be impacted. So in that sense, it becomes a blessing, not just for you and your immediate family, but for so many people. And you find that 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line, you've heard of companies who actually were created 40 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, and they're still in existence right now. Because the process to get in there, to get in that outcome initially was done in the right way, was done in alignment with what was the highest good of the person who went into creating that, and also the highest good of the people around them. So it ended up now generating even more blessings for anyone else who was coming into contact with them. But for the people who go about it the wrong way and go against their soul's nature, it might look like it benefits you right now, but anyone who comes in touch with it doesn't help them. So you find that for some people, maybe the immediate generation might have a taste of it, but the generations that come from it, they never get to experience that because you didn't go about it the right way. So your generational wealth was actually your wealth for you and only you, which you'll still experience the consequences for later on. But if you went about it the right way, you're not always gonna be living in fear of what if it's taken away? What if it's this? Because it will be in alignment, in flow with the universe, with your soul's calling. So my advice to you will be is that anytime you're going about it, whatever it is that you want to create in your life, always ensure that is in alignment with your soul. So not getting inspiration from an egoic point of view that you're trying to get this so that, you know, you can reach a certain level of success as society has deemed or has termed successful. Doesn't have to look like that, okay? So doing it according to your soul. So let your soul inspire you of what's the next thing you want to create. Oh, I want to have 1 million shillings. Again, by the way, if you've only gotten the fact that I'm trying to bash people with wealth, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wealth, absolutely nothing wrong with abundance, but only if you go about it the right way. Okay, so listen to that because you're here to, and of course, when you have that level of wealth, it can allow you to do so much. You can impact so many lives just from that wealth you're able to create for yourself. So there's nothing wrong with wealth if you go about it the right way. It can be a blessing to so many people all over the world, not just you. Okay. So listen to that next action of, oh, now I'm getting the desire to be a multi-millionaire. Okay, that's coming from your soul. What actions do I need to take? And then work on that and go in flow with the universe. Okay, and watching for the results you create. If you create something, you do something and then it creates negative results, then you have the power to actually correct that. Go and try something else and correct whatever negative choice you made in that point. And then now keep getting out of your comfort zone. You're not gonna create it just from sitting around and just hoping that things manifest for you. So both of them have to be at par. Have the outcome you have, get inspired actions that you take daily that will allow you to achieve this outcome. And as long as it's in alignment with your true soul's calling, true soul's purpose, anything that you end up receiving or manifesting at the end of it all, it will be actually something that you can even begin to create in your mind. The other thing I wanted to share was that also when you're coming with the outcome, it's not being so attached to how the outcome should look like. Meaning that yes, you might have that inspiration that I want to have 1 million, whatever it is, currency you have in your country. I want to have that 1 million in my account. Chances are your soul already knows, no, we can actually do better. But okay, fine, we can start with that. So you're going to do the process in alignment with the soul, taking the actions, but at the end of it all, if you're so attached to it, has to be 1 million and it has to look this way, you're going to limit what you're able to create. So get that inspired idea, but don't attach yourself too much to it has to, the outcome has to look a certain way because it could actually be way bigger than anything you can perceive. Okay, so again, it's a very fine line, and you have to have a certain level of discernment to actually know what is right and what is not for you. But Again, I gave you a beautiful process to actually determine that. It's look at what you're creating in your life. Because if at all you're doing everything it takes to get this 1 million, but it's sacrificing your health, sacrificing your relationship, and all of that, in my perspective, it's not worth it. But if at all, yes, you might have to walk away from certain relationships that don't serve your highest, but you're still creating abundance from that, then chances are you're heading down the right path. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, do subscribe and also click on the notification bell. I do go live every Sunday, so I'm hoping that you will join me in my next live. And I love doing meditations to go hand in hand. I just started doing this the other day, so I will be uploading a meditation, a quantum flow meditation to go hand in hand with this particular talk, just to help you embody and tap into what actions or what inspired ideas come up for you from that quantum flow meditation. So if you do subscribe and also click on the notification bell, you'll get an alert from when that meditation goes up, and hopefully it actually inspires you to go down the right path. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. I always end by sharing how my work, which is the soul element and quantum flow, can actually help you really connect with your soul's true nature. Okay, so one of the modalities I do work with is called soul element, which is about actually connecting you to your soul's divine nature. So throughout this entire presentation, I've been sharing about how your path and your actions and all of that will not always look like someone else's. And soul element is actually a beautiful way for connecting you to how your particular coding and how you're supposed to experience and create life. It's not going to look like any other person. And without that idea of what that is, you're always going to be taking actions just for the sake, because you're seeing other people doing it, but you're actually not creating anything credible from that. But if you're in alignment with your soul's true nature and you have an idea of how it looks like when you're creating from your soul based on your unique coding, then also the results you create is going to create more and more of abundance in your life, and not creating more of curses and lack in your life just from actions you're taking inspired by others, but going against your soul's true nature. So I'm going to share my screen just for you to have an idea of what soul element is and quantum flow. And if you feel inspired, do book a call with me. You can book a discovery call with me, and we can see if this is a fit for whatever you're going through in your life. Let me just maximize this so that you get an idea. The soul alignment is it's a healing modality that is based on understanding that each soul is unique with its own divine nature and gifts and purpose. And it's actually a practice that is based on working with the Akashic records. So it's all about realizing with who you are and how you are meant to show up in the world, not based on other people's experiences, but based on your unique coding for your particular divine soul blueprint. Okay. So its cost principle again is based on the age we live in, where there is a ton of information available to us. One of the things that I love sharing with my clients is that you have to be discerning with whatever you're tapping into or whatever new thing you're tapping into, because it has to have transformational value for you. And soul alignment actually provides that, because once you connect to your soul's divine nature and how you are supposed to operate and connect into your soul level gifts, it also impacts how you show up in the world and what you do on a daily basis. So it's not just information for the sake of information, but actually, if you're able to use the information you gather from the reading, it's practical information you can apply to your life and slowly start transforming your life. It's all about free will and choice, because I'm not here to determine or show you or tell you this is how you're supposed to do it. I'm giving you the information and then letting you interpret that. So how you choose to embody that is entirely on you. If you choose to get a reading and then go back to how you've been doing things all along, you will only create more luck for yourself. But with the soul element reading, once you get an idea of what that is, then you have the free will to decide how you're going to go about implementing that particular reading and that particular transformation of value or information you get from the reading into your life. So you're taking responsibility for, first of all, what you've created in your life thus far and what you will create going forward. Because now, if you have an idea of how you've been creating so much of what you don't want in your life, based on the choices you've been making right now, and I give you the reading and I show you this is actually how you were designed to experience life, then now you take responsibility, meaning that you have to make choices in alignment to who you are so that you can create more of what you want. Okay. So of course, you get to get a soul level healing with the Akashic record. So healing energetically, healing your blueprint from all these negative karmic experiences or patterns that you've picked up based on all the lifetimes you've actually incarnated on this beautiful, beautiful universe of ours. Okay. And the other thing is that you're healing through awareness. So no healer actually heals you. It's actually you healing yourself. Meaning that I have zero power to actually come and pull out this things from your blueprint. You have to be in agreement with that healing. So what we normally do with soul element is that I set an intention for all of that to be healed from an energetic perspective within your particular Akashic record. And just by you being aware of what that is and saying, okay, I'm ready to let go of this pattern, then you actually get instant healing from that. But you actually have to be aware. No one can actually heal you. It's you healing yourself. So that's so relevant. The second thing I do work with is quantum flow. So quantum flow is an embodiment mechanism that also offers another transformational experience with that by helping you rewire your nervous system and restoring it back to balance within you. So what quantum flow does is that it works on different areas of your being. So not just physically, but also on a mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual perspective. So you're rewiring all of these areas of your being and tapping into higher states of being in all these areas. Okay. So a lot of us talk about trauma, our deep-rooted trauma that we've experienced all the way from even your mother's womb within our nervous system. So you find that probably how you're showing up in the world right now is based on years and years of coding of that storage of that memory within your nervous system, within your unconscious mind. Okay. It impacts how you show up in the world, the kind of choices you have, the kind of things you attract, because it's based on some limiting patterns, some limiting beliefs that you picked up either consciously or unconsciously from the people around you from your lived experience. So it's now with the quantum flow, it's actually breaking down those patterns, okay, and breaking them down so that now you have whatever energy is released through that, the processes that we do, which is actually based on working with breath work, with sound and movement. Once you break down those blockages within your nervous system, now you have more energy to create more of what you want. You'll be able to embrace inner peace, have a heightened sense of clarity, which again is what we were talking about with this entire presentation. Being really clear, because now all those things that were blocking you from actually getting that inspiration or guidance from your soul, once you clear them, then hearing that message will be much easier for you. You'll be able to tap more into your flow with the universe, align more into your purpose, really tap into higher states of being mentally and emotionally. And I cannot see how underrated those two qualities are, but they actually create or have a huge impact on how you show up in the world. Once you have your mental and emotional life figured out, it makes it easier for you to show up for everything else. Okay. So this is basically what quantum flow is. If you want to go deeper, I invite you to book a discovery call with me, or you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or check out the link in the description box. I'm going to be linking that to this particular video. Book a session with me, or you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram if that's easier for you to connect, and message me and I will answer you as soon as I get to it. And hopefully I will get to see you on the other side and we can get to actually help you awaken to all that you're supposed to be in this lifetime. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this inspires you. Please let me know your thoughts about this and everything I've shared on this live in the comment section down below. Don't forget to also share some of the lessons, some of the wins, some of the whatever it is that you've experienced in this week, in the last month, and let's learn and inspire each other. Okay. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and also click on the notification bell. And I will see you on the next live. Oh, and make sure you keep an eye out for when I actually upload the meditation, which will probably in the next couple of days. So make sure you have your notification also that as soon as it's out, you get to tap into this quantum flow meditation and help you embody all the lessons that I've spoken about in this life. So thank you so much and enjoy your